There comes a moment in life when we wake up and realize that the story we have been telling ourselves no longer fits the person we are becoming. We recognize the patterns, the same disappointments, the same cycles of effort and collapse, the same quiet question echoing beneath the noise. Why does nothing truly change? This video begins at that threshold. It invites you to pause, to breathe, and to see that the repetition you experience is not punishment, but an echo of an old frequency still resonating within your mind and body. Every memory, every emotion, every choice has built neural pathways that keep you walking the same invisible path. But what if that map can be redrawn? What if the universe has been waiting for your permission to shift you toward a new timeline? Here, we will explore how science and spirit converge through neuroquantum practice, the art of reprogramming mental narratives so that your subconscious aligns with higher intention. You will learn to sense the vibration of your thoughts, to rewrite emotional codes, and to access coherence between the mind's vision and the heart's rhythm. Throughout this journey, you will not be asked to believe blindly, but to experience transformation from within. Together, we will rebuild the architecture of your inner world, one breath, one thought, one conscious moment at a time, until the reality that once confined you becomes the foundation of your liberation. There is a quiet rhythm that governs the human mind, a rhythm woven through years of repetition, belief, and unspoken emotion. Most of us live inside this rhythm without ever realizing it, reliving the same stories dressed in different faces, cities, or circumstances. We wake each day hoping that this time something will change, yet the day unfolds with a familiar taste, and we find ourselves wondering why transformation always seems one step away. The truth is that every reality you experience begins as a mental narrative, an inner monologue so persistent that it becomes the architecture of your existence. To rewrite your life, you must first hear the voice you have ignored for years, the one telling you that survival is safer than expansion, that the known, though painful, is easier to bear than the unknown promise of freedom. In neuroquantum practice, this recognition marks the beginning of awakening. The brain and the universe mirror each other. Every neural pathway is a line of energy vibrating with a particular frequency, and that vibration interacts with the quantum field, the limitless realm of potential where all possible realities exist simultaneously. When your internal story repeats the same emotional notes, fear, guilt, scarcity, the field responds with resonance, echoing back circumstances that match those vibrations. It is not punishment, it is coherence. You are not being denied your desires. You are being invited to tune your energy differently. This understanding dissolves the illusion of victimhood and restores authorship to your consciousness. Rewriting your narrative requires awareness that thought alone is not enough. Many people attempt to think positively, to chant affirmations or visualize abundance, yet their emotions remain anchored in lack. The subconscious, which commands nearly all behavioral patterns, speaks a language of feeling, not logic. When the mind says, "I am free," but the body still trembles with the memory of confinement, the universe receives mixed signals. This incoherence delays manifestation because the field responds to the total frequency of being. Transformation begins when thought and emotion vibrate as one, when belief and sensation form a single tone of truth. Consider how this coherence feels in your body. It is not a surge of excitement or a sudden wave of motivation. It is steadiness. It is the soft calm that enters when the inner war subsides. Neuroquantum coherence can be cultivated through practices that realign your nervous system with your intentions. Begin by acknowledging the emotion currently running through your system without judgment. Whether it is fear, doubt, or longing, let it breathe through you. Neuroscience teaches that awareness without resistance changes the brain's chemistry, reducing the amplitude of stress circuits. From a quantum perspective, the act of observation collapses possibilities into form. Thus, by observing your emotion without struggle, you begin to shift the timeline of your reality. The next step is to introduce a new emotional frequency that matches the life you desire. Gratitude and compassion are among the most powerful states for this alignment. They open the heart and regulate the vagus nerve, creating a bridge between the emotional brain and the body's electromagnetic field. Imagine gratitude not as a thought, but as a temperature spreading across your chest. Allow it to expand until it fills the entire room of your awareness. As this state stabilizes, new neural patterns form and the field around you recalibrates. Life begins to arrange itself to sustain that vibration, bringing people, opportunities, and insights that correspond to your new narrative. It is important to understand that rewriting a narrative is not an act of denial. You are not erasing your past. You are reassigning meaning to it. Every wound, every mistake becomes material for transformation. In quantum language, even pain is energy awaiting redirection. When you reinterpret the story that once defined you, you free the energy trapped within it. This is why forgiveness, often misunderstood as passivity, is the most radical act of quantum realignment. To forgive is to reclaim energy from the past and reintroduce it into the present moment, where creation truly happens. As your awareness deepens, notice the subtle resistance that arises. The mind will argue for the old narrative, insisting that your efforts are futile. This resistance is the ego's attempt to preserve identity, not because it enjoys suffering, but because familiarity feels like safety. Here lies the turning point. Rather than fighting the resistance, witness it. Neuroscience calls this metacognitive awareness, the ability to see your thoughts as transient data rather than absolute truth. In spiritual terms, it is detachment. The moment you observe the voice that says, "I can't change," you have already begun to change. The practical dimension of neuroquantum reprogramming involves repetition in a state of emotional coherence. Every morning, dedicate a few moments to anchor your new narrative. Before reaching for your phone, close your eyes and breathe slowly until your heartbeat steadies. Visualize a scene from your desired future, but more importantly, feel the version of yourself who already lives there. What does peace feel like in your spine? How does confidence alter your breath? When the body learns these sensations, it no longer distinguishes imagination from reality. The neural circuits that sustain the old story weaken, and the new ones strengthen through repetition. You are quite literally rehearsing a new identity into existence. Remember that the universe does not measure progress by speed, but by alignment. There will be days when you slip into old rhythms, when the mind rehearses doubt and the body echoes tension. These are not failures, they are signals. Each return to awareness reaffirms your commitment to transformation. Over time, you will notice the world reflecting your inner changes. Conversations feel lighter, opportunities unfold effortlessly, and synchronicities guide your path. This is not magic, it is coherence made visible. At its essence, rewriting your mental narrative is a sacred dialogue between your consciousness and the quantum field. It asks for patience, presence, and compassion toward yourself. You are not fixing what is broken. You are remembering what has always been whole beneath the noise. Each breath becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your reality, each thought a tone that shapes the symphony of your experience. When you align thought, emotion, and presence, the universe listens and responds with precision. The story changes not because you force it, but because you finally vibrate as the author who remembers the ending, one of freedom, peace, and radiant coherence. In the vast landscape of consciousness, the most intricate structures are the ones we cannot see, the silent patterns that shape our perception of reality. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, carries an energetic blueprint. Over time, these blueprints form the architecture of your personal universe, repeating like melodies that never resolve. The question is not whether the universe listens to you, but whether you are aware of what you keep broadcasting into it. We often speak of wanting abundance, freedom, or love, yet deep inside we repeat old frequencies of fear, guilt, or scarcity. The body becomes fluent in these vibrations until they form a language of limitation. To rewrite your mental narrative, you must learn to hear this language and gently teach it a new dialect of possibility. When neuroscience meets spirituality, we find that transformation is less about force and more about alignment. The brain's plasticity allows it to rewire according to focus and repetition, while the quantum field mirrors those new patterns through synchronicity. The energy of thought and emotion does not dissipate into nothingness. It resonates, creating pathways of probability. Each time you dwell on lack, your mind rehearses scarcity into your neurons. Each time you feel gratitude, you strengthen the circuitry of abundance. This is not mystical poetry, it is coherence made visible through attention. As Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, Your personality creates your personal reality, and the only way to shift the external is by transforming the internal state that generates it. Imagine that your mind is a living manuscript. Every belief you hold has written a paragraph, and each emotion has sealed it with ink. Some pages are worn from being read too many times. These are the patterns that dictate your reactions, the stories that whisper, "You're not enough," or "Change is too dangerous." They are not the truth. They are memories masquerading as facts. To rewrite them, you must access the emotional core where they were born. This is where neuroquantum awareness becomes revolutionary. It recognizes that consciousness and energy are inseparable. The act of perceiving a thought changes its molecular rhythm, altering the electromagnetic field around your body. In simpler terms, observation is alchemy. When you observe a limiting thought with compassion instead of resistance, you neutralize its charge. The energy once locked in fear becomes available for creation. There is a moment, subtle yet profound, when awareness transforms into liberation. It happens in the space between stimulus and response, the sacred pause where choice is born. Most people live in reflex, their nervous system firing in defense before awareness even enters. They are trapped in biochemical nostalgia, reliving yesterday's emotions under today's sky. The neuroquantum path teaches a gentler way. It invites you to breathe into that pause, to feel your pulse slow, and to notice that in this stillness, you are no longer the character reacting, you are the author rewriting. The more you dwell in that awareness, the easier it becomes to alter the next sentence of your life's manuscript. Yet the human journey requires tenderness. Repatterning the mind is not a race toward perfection, but a ritual of remembrance. Old wounds may resurface, not to harm you, but to be witnessed in a new light. The body will resist at first. It has grown loyal to its biochemical comfort zone. Adrenaline, cortisol, and fear can feel strangely safe because they are familiar. Recognizing this dynamic is an act of grace. Instead of condemning yourself for falling back into old emotions, see it as the body reminding you what is ready to be released. Awareness becomes the doorway through which healing enters, one breath at a time. Consider how this plays out in daily life. A simple conversation can become a microcosm of your vibration. If you respond to criticism with defense, you reinforce the story of inadequacy. If you breathe, observe, and respond from calm presence, you affirm the narrative of sovereignty. In that instant, you have shifted not only the interaction, but the frequency of your entire field. This is how transformation truly unfolds, not in grand moments of revelation, but in the quiet repetition of coherent responses. Each choice becomes a brushstroke, painting your new identity across the canvas of time. The ancient mystics often said that the universe is mental, that all things arise from thought. Modern neuroscience extends this idea through evidence. Neural circuits fire in patterns that reflect expectation, and the body obeys the brain's dominant signals. The implication is extraordinary. You are constantly instructing your reality, and your reality is faithfully listening. But awareness alone is not enough. Emotion must join it. Emotion is energy in motion, the current that powers manifestation. When you pair thought with genuine emotion, you activate both hemispheres of the brain and align the electromagnetic field of the heart. This alignment broadcasts a frequency that the quantum field recognizes as instruction. It is not about commanding the universe, but harmonizing with it so deeply that the distinction between you and it dissolves. There is also humility in this process. The ego wants immediate proof, instant manifestations, dramatic signs, visible results. But consciousness unfolds with precision, not haste. The delay between intention and physical result is the period of calibration, when your energy stabilizes into coherence. If you demand speed, you invite friction. If you offer patience, you allow grace. This patience is not passive waiting. It is active faith expressed through consistent presence. You return to your breath, to your coherence, and the world rearranges itself accordingly. As the narrative begins to change, subtle miracles appear. Coincidences align too perfectly to ignore. People enter your life carrying opportunities that match your new vibration. Your intuition strengthens, your body feels lighter. These are not external gifts, they are reflections of internal congruence. The quantum field simply mirrors what you have become. To sustain this, you cultivate daily rituals of alignment. moments of silence in the morning, reflections of gratitude before sleep, pauses between tasks to check your emotional tone. Over time, this rhythm replaces chaos with harmony, uncertainty with quiet confidence. Ultimately, the art of rewriting mental narratives is the art of remembering your authorship. You are not a passive reader of your destiny, nor a prisoner of circumstance. You are consciousness experiencing itself through time, sculpting energy into form. Every thought is a brushstroke, every feeling a hue, every action a contour in the grand painting of your soul's evolution. The Neuroquantum journey does not promise escape from life's challenges. It offers mastery within them. Through awareness, coherence, and compassion, you transform repetition into revelation. And as you do, the universe does not merely listen, it sings the melody you have finally chosen to play. There is a certain stillness that appears when you begin to see your own patterns clearly, not from judgment, but from awareness. It is like watching an old movie that once made you cry, now realizing you no longer identify with its characters. This quiet distance marks the moment your consciousness begins to evolve beyond the limits of the old self. Every repeated pattern in your life is not a sign of failure, but a mirror reflecting the vibration you have unknowingly sustained. In the quantum language of existence, energy seeks coherence. The circumstances that recur in your reality are simply the universe showing you what frequency you continue to emit. Awareness then becomes the first key to liberation. At the heart of neuroquantum transformation lies the understanding that thought and emotion are not separate forces, but two ends of the same current. Thought is the signal. Emotion is the electricity that gives it life. The mind generates imagery, but the body, through the nervous system, translates that imagery into vibration. Together, they project an energetic blueprint that informs the quantum field about who you are and what you are prepared to receive. When both align in coherence, the field reorganizes matter around your new frequency. This is the essence of manifestation, not as fantasy or wishful thinking, but as energetic congruence. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are consistently being. Understanding this truth requires honesty about the emotions that govern your daily state. Most people attempt to create abundance from the vibration of lack, to manifest love while rooted in fear, or to seek peace while rehearsing anxiety. The contradiction keeps them trapped in loops of frustration. But when you observe yourself with compassion, when you breathe into the discomfort instead of fleeing from it, you shift the chemical pattern within your body. Cortisol decreases, oxytocin increases, and neural pathways of trust begin to strengthen. What once felt like chaos becomes an opportunity for recalibration. The more frequently you enter this space of conscious awareness, the more your brain and heart synchronize, creating measurable coherence in your electromagnetic field. This coherence is the language through which the universe responds. The old narrative begins to lose power as you stop identifying with it. The mind, accustomed to control, will attempt to reassert its authority by generating fear-based thoughts. It's too late. Nothing works for me. I'll always end up back here. Yet every one of these phrases is simply data from the past replaying itself. The act of noticing it without attachment interrupts the circuit. Neuroplasticity ensures that the more you disengage from an old thought, the weaker its connection becomes. Simultaneously, every time you choose a thought aligned with expansion, the corresponding neural pathway strengthens. Transformation is not an event. It is a neurological process guided by repeated emotional choice. Still, this inner work is not meant to disconnect you from reality. On the contrary, it roots you more deeply in it. The goal is not to escape into a spiritual ideal, but to inhabit your life with new awareness. The conversations, responsibilities, and relationships that once triggered your pain become laboratories for coherence. You begin to witness how the external world rearranges itself as your internal vibration stabilizes. This harmony is subtle, but unmistakable. Synchronicities increase, intuitive insights arrive effortlessly, and challenges that once seemed immovable begin to soften. These shifts are confirmations that your field is recalibrating. The science behind this transformation mirrors ancient spiritual wisdom. Heart rate variability studies reveal that when a person sustains feelings of appreciation or compassion for several minutes, the heart generates a coherent electromagnetic pattern that can influence the brain's rhythms. This physiological harmony extends beyond the body, affecting the energy field around it. Quantum physics describes this field as a sea of potentiality, responsive to the observer's frequency. Thus, every coherent emotion you sustain is like a signal of permission sent to the universe, instructing it to assemble matter in new patterns of order. The sacred paradox is that by feeling complete before the manifestation arrives, you magnetize its arrival. There is also humility in this process, for coherence cannot be forced, it must be invited through surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means ceasing to resist what already is. In that state, the heart expands and the mind becomes a servant of consciousness rather than its master. Many people misunderstand this surrender, believing it to be passivity, but it is the most dynamic force in creation. When you surrender, you allow intelligence greater than your personality to move through you. Ideas arise, opportunities unfold, and what once felt impossible becomes the natural consequence of alignment. In practical terms, sustaining this coherence begins with attention. Throughout the day, notice your emotional tone as you would notice the temperature of a room. Each time you detect contraction, tension, defensiveness, urgency, pause for a moment and take a slow breath. The pause itself is sacred. It interrupts momentum and offers space for recalibration. You are training your nervous system to remain in balance under stimulation. Over time, these micro-pauses accumulate into macro change. The brain rewires to favor equilibrium over reactivity, and the field around you begins to hold a constant vibration of calm authority. In this state, action becomes effortless. You no longer chase outcomes, you respond to inspiration. Decisions arise not from anxiety, but from clarity. The body, once burdened by constant vigilance, relaxes into flow. This is when the paradox of manifestation reveals itself. You do less yet accomplish more. The outer world aligns naturally with your internal order. The timing of life feels precise, as though guided by an unseen intelligence that understands your desires better than you ever could. But even within this expansion, there will be moments of contraction. Energy moves cyclically, like the tides. The return of old emotions does not mean regression, it signals integration. Each wave that resurfaces invites deeper compassion, a more grounded embodiment of the truth you are learning. In those moments, trust that your evolution is not linear, but spiral. You revisit old lessons only to refine them at a higher octave of understanding. The more you honor these rhythms, the more stable your coherence becomes. Ultimately, rewriting mental narratives is not about control, it is about remembrance. You are remembering that you are both the observer and the observed, the creator and the creation. You are consciousness experiencing itself through form, gathering wisdom through contrast. Every thought is a brushstroke, every emotion a color on the palette of your existence. The Neuroquantum path is simply the art of painting, with awareness instead of habit. And as you learn to hold that brush with steadier hands, the masterpiece of your reality begins to emerge, not from effort, but from resonance. Every transformation begins with awareness, but awareness alone is not enough. It must be translated into consistent energetic alignment so that new frequencies can stabilize within the body and mind. The process of rewriting mental narratives is an unfolding of layers, each layer representing an older version of yourself that once served survival but no longer resonates with expansion. When you decide to step into a new timeline, the old patterns do not vanish instantly. They dissolve through observation, repetition, and the gradual re-education of your nervous system. This is where neuroquantum understanding reveals its brilliance, uniting ancient wisdom with modern science to guide the journey from reaction to creation. Every repetitive pattern begins as a story encoded in your subconscious, a collection of thoughts, emotions, and energetic imprints formed through early experiences. Neuroscience shows that the subconscious governs almost all of our daily actions, filtering reality through past conditioning. Meanwhile, quantum physics reminds us that reality is not fixed. It is an ever-shifting field of potential, responding to vibration. The intersection of these two insights reveals a profound truth. By shifting the internal program that generates perception, you alter the external world that reflects it. The universe is not testing you. It is mirroring your dominant energetic frequency. Your circumstances are not random. They are communication. This understanding transforms how we interpret challenge. Instead of asking, Why is this happening to me? We begin to ask, what vibration within me is being revealed for transformation? This shift in perspective is the first act of quantum mastery. The external world becomes a feedback system, showing where alignment has been lost and where it is ready to be restored. Each moment of discomfort becomes a doorway to greater coherence. And coherence is not achieved through suppression or avoidance, it is achieved through presence. To sit with what arises without judgment is to reclaim sovereignty from the subconscious mind. The body serves as the bridge between thought and reality. Every unprocessed emotion remains stored within its tissues, resonating at a specific frequency that influences perception. When an event triggers an old emotion, it is not a setback, it is an invitation for integration. The key is to meet the emotion with awareness instead of identification. For instance, if fear arises rather than saying, "I am afraid," one may recognize, fear is moving through me. This simple linguistic shift rewires the brain's relationship with emotion, reducing identification and activating the prefrontal cortex, the center of conscious awareness. The emotional energy, once resisted, now begins to move. This movement is energy returning to neutrality, releasing the charge that once sustained the repetitive pattern. The quantum field responds not to your words, but to the frequency you emit through feeling. To sustain a higher frequency, gratitude becomes essential, not as a superficial practice, but as a neurological state. Gratitude synchronizes the brain and heart, releasing neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin that reinforce positive emotional feedback loops. The moment gratitude becomes genuine, the body enters coherence, and the field around you reorganizes in harmony with that vibration. It is through this state that new realities begin to crystallize. The transformation is not imagined, it is measurable. Studies have shown that coherent heart rhythms directly influence brainwave patterns, proving that the emotional state of the heart informs the intelligence of the mind. Still, the journey of rewriting narratives is not linear. There are times when expansion triggers contraction, when old fears resurface, when progress seems invisible, when patience wears thin. This oscillation is part of the natural rhythm of evolution. Growth requires oscillation, just as the heart requires contraction and expansion to sustain life. The key lies in maintaining presence through both phases. The contraction is not regression, it is consolidation, a chance for the nervous system to stabilize in the new frequency before expanding again. The most profound transformations occur not in the moments of excitement, but in the quiet spaces where you remain grounded while nothing seems to move. Neuroquantum transformation also requires humility before the unknown. When the mind can no longer predict outcomes, it experiences vulnerability, often perceived as uncertainty. But this uncertainty is sacred. It is the space where infinite potential lives. The old self fears it because it cannot control it, yet it is within this openness that new possibilities are born. To live in coherence with the quantum field is to trust that unseen forces are aligning beyond the limits of linear logic. Faith, then, is not blind belief, but vibrational alignment with the frequency of possibility. It is an embodied state of knowing that what you desire already exists in potential and that your coherence calls it into form. At this level of awareness, manifestation becomes a natural consequence of being rather than a mechanical act of doing. You no longer chase outcomes, you magnetize them. The brain stops obsessing over how and surrenders into what is. This surrender activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body and allowing intuitive intelligence to lead. From this space, decisions are no longer reactions to fear, but expressions of clarity. The paradox of creation unfolds. The less you force, the faster things align. Coherence replaces control, and life flows with precision. Eventually, as coherence deepens, identity itself begins to dissolve. You realize that the self who once sought transformation was only a collection of memories and perceptions. The deeper truth emerges. Consciousness is the observer behind all narratives, untouched by their fluctuations. You are not your thoughts or emotions. You are the awareness perceiving them. From this recognition, compassion arises naturally, not only for yourself, but for all beings, as you see that every person is living through the vibration they currently understand. Judgment fades, replaced by empathy. This shift expands your frequency exponentially, harmonizing your energy with the collective field of consciousness. To live from this awareness is to walk as coherence embodied. You become a signal of stability in a world addicted to reaction. Circumstances that once triggered you now dissolve effortlessly because they no longer find a matching vibration within you. This is not detachment, it is mastery. The external world continues to move, but you are no longer moved by it. You are moved through it. Your presence becomes medicine, your calm a catalyst for others. The energy you carry begins to influence environments without words, simply through resonance. In the end, neuroquantum transformation is a journey of remembering rather than becoming. You are not learning something new, you are remembering what has always been true, that you are consciousness shaping form through focus, emotion, and vibration. Every pattern that once confined you was a temporary forgetting of your infinite nature. As you rewrite those stories, the energy trapped within them returns to you as power, clarity, and grace. You no longer chase the future, you embody it. The field responds in kind, weaving synchronicity through every moment, reminding you that the universe was never separate. It was always your reflection in motion. The journey through neuroquantum transformation leads to a single luminous realization. You were never meant to live imprisoned by repetition. Every pattern, belief, and emotion that once defined your limits was only a fragment of an outdated story. The deeper you venture into awareness, the more you begin to perceive that these stories were never your identity. They were experiences, temporary expressions of energy seeking evolution. To rewrite your narrative is not to become someone new, but to remember the essence that has always existed beneath conditioning. The boundless consciousness capable of observing, transforming, and creating. Neuroscience reveals that the brain reshapes itself according to focus. Quantum physics shows that energy responds to intention. When merged, these truths form a map of liberation. Wherever you place coherent attention, life reorganizes. Thought becomes structure, emotion becomes magnetism, and together they sculpt the field of infinite potential. Your awareness becomes the architect of your destiny. By aligning your mind and heart in coherence, you communicate clearly with the quantum field, the living intelligence that responds not to demand, but to vibration. In this space, manifestation ceases to be an act of desire and becomes an act of remembrance. You are not calling abundance from afar. You are allowing abundance to express itself through you. You are not chasing love, you are realizing that love has always been your natural frequency. The field reflects coherence with precision, and the more you embody harmony, the more effortlessly life mirrors it back. This is not theory, it is energetic law. You were never separate from the universe. You were the universe remembering itself through experience. The narrative ends where awareness begins, and from that awareness, infinite new stories await, each one brighter, freer, and more aligned with the rhythm of your highest truth. Now that you've walked through this journey of awareness, coherence, and creation, ask yourself, what story have I been repeating that no longer deserves to define who I am? The moment you answer honestly, a new frequency begins to awaken. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to this channel to continue expanding your consciousness and deepening your connection with the field of infinite potential. Stay with us. Watch the next video appearing on your screen right now and keep walking the path where science meets spirit, where your vibration becomes your reality, and where every moment holds the power to rewrite your entire universe.